Hunt 'em Big with Steve Bartilla. Brought to you by
Back once again with our good buddy Todd Stidleberg, Mr. Antler King himself. Todd, all sorts of uses for screening. You can go ahead, we've talked about using screening to reduce social stress within the whitetails. We've talked about using screening to go ahead and help dictate their movements. Now, you want Mr. Big to come back to that back corner, check to see if there's any dozer, screen it off. Now he's got to go back there and look if he wants to, and every minute you can waste on him checking the does on your ground is 1 minute less. He's going to be on the other side of the fence. And when he's on the other side of the fence, they have every right in this world to legally harvest any animal they want. Yep. But we have every right in this world to do things to make them spend a disproportionate amount of time on our ground. Screening is a big part of that, and Barricade is an awesome screen. Now, let's talk about hiding our intentions.
Kind of the story of two farms. I have two farms, 20-some miles apart, and planted Barricade on each farm, and was renting out the cropland on each farm. And in the case of the farm we're standing on, unfortunately, the farmer cut my Barricade and used it for food, for his cattle. The other farm was not the case. The Barricade grew up 8-9 feet tall, and it shielded us every time we hunted that farm. We were able to get into our stands and be able to get out, and the deer had no idea they were being hunted.
If you don't mind me asking, generally speaking, about how long is it going to take you to get it that high?
Probably 90 days, generally about 90 days. We want to plant this product when the soil temp is 55 to 60 degrees. So, you certainly do not want to be planting it before farmers are planting corn. I generally tell people, if you see farmers planting corn, wait about 2 more weeks and then you're probably good to go.
And the reason for that is?
Well, the seed actually can rot. It just needs that soil to warm up to that 55 to 60 degrees. So if you say, boy, I'm going to get ahead of everything and this is going to be the first thing I plant in the spring,
your
and the soil temp
rates are probably going to suffer because
very bad.
Pretty young. If a whitetail does not see you, if a whitetail does not smell you, if a whitetail does not hear you, perception is reality to whitetails every bit as much as humans. You weren't there. You can actually, one of the things that I really strive is set up a property so you can hunt the snot out of it, but those whitetails never have a clue you're there. You do that and your success keeps going like this throughout season, rather than for most people, it starts here and it goes like this. Why? Because they're literally driving the deer off of their property. Todd, continue.
Well, that was, like I said, the tale of two farms, and the other farm where the Barricade grew was just phenomenal hunting. This particular farm, we were able to get some decent morning hunts in where we could get in pitch dark. Unfortunately, we still would, boot some deer then, but it was honestly...
afternoon hunting had to have been just... getting in afternoon, yeah. No problem, but good luck getting... I happen to know this property, yeah. And one of the things that has yet to be shared is access to much of it is awesome, but there's one big major part that if you don't have screening, you stick out like a turd in a punch bowl.
Oh, you do.
Going back, but yet you screen that edge. Now you can go back and forth. As long as the wind's going this way, you can go back and forth, and these deer out here that are all along there feeding have absolutely no clue whatsoever, but you take it out and what happened?
It was very frustrating to try to hunt this farm, and so after several hunts and booting deer as you go in, booting deer as you leave. Obviously, I don't want to say it turned them nocturnal, but it sure didn't help them coming out during shooting hours.
Well, I've long believed deer are no different than your dog at home. In one key respect, you can train them to accept anything. You can train them to fear, darn it. When they can see you do that over, you're essentially training them, hey, come out a half hour later and you don't have to worry about me.
Yeah. And that's really what it turned into. And so what a great example as to how valuable that barricade screen is.
Final thoughts brought to you by Huntworth. Screening does all sorts of wonderful, sincerely wonderful things for reducing social stress. Screening does all sorts of wonderful things to help dictate deer movement on our properties, as well as wasting precious daylight seconds before they jump the fence. And lastly, screening can do a heck of a good job of hiding us, because you go ahead in those areas where you need to use as access and departure routes. If the deer can see you and you got to go through food, you're literally training them. Just come out after dark, and you don't have to worry about it. Tell you what, Todd, virtually impossible to honestly exaggerate the significance of this stuff, isn't it?
Oh, it's phenomenal.
It seems like these little things, but little things add up to make a huge difference in this stuff. And screening is definitely one of them. Thanks a ton, Todd. This has been extremely helpful.